It's 2024. Hey, welcome to the new year. And welcome to ADRAMADA, the first show of the new year after a nice 2-week break. ADRAMADA, another Dave Rush Ask Me Anything, digital alchemy. I am the aforementioned Dave Rush, and we get together once a month. At least that's the way it seemed. We haven't gotten together since last month, right? But we try to get together once a week on Thursday evenings, my time, and talk tech. And we're going to do that all throughout 2024. Man, we've got some good stuff coming up this year. And we talk about anything. Topics are wide-ranging. We celebrate technology. We love electric cars and electric guitars. We love movies and music. I got movie talk tonight. And we love energy and computing and Linux and ethics and love the chase to space. Love cybersec, love fiber optic and networking. You get all that stuff. We don't need to go through it. Hey, if you are not watching this live, that means you missed it. Or you're rewatching it. I would. But today, as I'm sitting here in front of a camera yakking away, it is Thursday, January 4th. Of the year 2024. And I try to, look up something up. What's interesting about today's date? And I didn't bother to do that. So just before the show, today is noteworthy because it's our first show of 2024. So welcome, Eep, Op, Orc, Ah. I want to start out with something. I have a whole bunch of non sequiturs here, and I'm going to talk fast today because I got a lot of stuff to talk about. I invented a new word today, and it came from a show that I watched today, a YouTube presentation for the nice folks over at Rocky. If you hear about this, Greg Soul, I stole this from you, but you may not have recognized that it happened. Greg was saying something, and he started to say a word, and he changed his mind right after the first couple letters and changed it to another word. And I heard the two run together, and I thought, oh my gosh, what a great word. And I went online to see if anybody had ever used the word, and they hadn't. And so it's incorrect to use the term coining a phrase, because everybody thinks that means creating. Coining something means reusing as a duplicate. So I am creating a new word from his little verbal bobble there. An interactive webinar in which one takes and answers questions real time during the webinar is, new word, a webinar. Question webinar. I know. You heard it here first. And we're gonna rock that word to the end. Let's see, what are we gonna do here? Let me do a couple of posts here if you're watching live or if you're watching on the archive. I got a couple of things that I'm going to stick here in the chat. We've got a Discord server that is very slowly growing, but is in fact growing. And we invite you to come and join us. It's tech, it's education, it's fun, it's humor, it's all kinds of stuff. And you want to participate, I feel it. And if you want to get in contact with me, I'm logged into 4 Discord servers all day, every day. Just ping me on any one of them and you'll do that, including my Discord server, of course. But if that's not appropriate for you, or I happen to be asleep and you want to send me a message, I'm not logged in when I'm asleep. I let the computers go to sleep. Then you can contact me at either of the 2 emails that I have just posted in the feed. Sorry, the thing's going on here. DRushTX at ADRAMADA, because this is ADRAMADA.com, or DRushTX at Yahoo, my regular daily personal. Yeah. So when I post a new show coming up, when I prep the show here on YouTube, and there's a bot on our server that watches everything that I do. And, he posted a new show upcoming. And so he does a little announcement on there. And Tullowit went over there and decided to have a discussion with the bot that started about this. And I didn't realize that the bot will come and talk to our bot. Okay, it's just a regular Me6 bot, and I went to rename it the other day, and you got to go through some hoops, and I'm not ready to do that. It was disturbing, and no matter what, you can say hi to the bot, and it will generate a 3-4 paragraph response, psychoanalyzing you all the way. That was hilarious, gotta say. I really enjoyed that. I beg your pardon. Voice okay? No deep voice, any of that nonsense? You'll let me know. And so what do we got going on here? Well, let's just keep things rolling here. So we're going to pick up as if we never left off. We did take a break last week. Last Thursday, we didn't do a show. That was the last Thursday of 2023. We had friends and family over and enjoyed the holidays, and I didn't do a lot of work, but I certainly did some. Guys, I have my fingers. You know I'm unemployed right now. Excuse me. And sadly, I'm probably going to be employed in reasonably short order, but I am trying to get a whole bunch of things off the ground before that happens. And wow, so many fingers in so many pies. My day is nonstop. And then there's always something new. Tomorrow I had a whole list of things I was going to accomplish. Oh no, something new. I got to go. I got a 5-hour interruption to my day where I got to go up and meet somebody and a couple hours away. You know how it goes. All right, so what are we doing here? We are going to go over to this page and transition and work from the outline. So last week, actually 2 weeks ago, we installed and checked out the Brave browser in Raspberry Pi OS running on a Raspberry Pi 4. There's a couple ways to install it. You can do it the easy way with Pi apps or manually. And I chose the manual method because it holds great learning value. It's fun. It's interesting. And the trick to it is you got to have a 64-bit OS. And not every app for Raspberry Pi OS will run on the 64-bit version. So I've got some Raspberry Pis running around here that are on 32-bit installs. But you know I love the Brave browser. I have for years. And if I've got a 64-bit flavor running on a Raspberry Pi, by golly, there's going to be, I beg your pardon, a copy of Brave running on it. What about today, Dave? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. Sorry, I got all kinds of, there we go. We can move that over there and go to the next slide. So today's show is all about XaaS. We have all at least heard of the big three cloud services and cloud service platforms, the AASs. We got PaaS, and let's just call it AS, PaaS and SAS and IaaS. And then everything else, there's a zillion other ones, they just get umbrellaed under this XaaS. X means anything as a service. So we're going to talk about a whole alphabet soup full of X's and what they are. Just real quick reviews and introductions to some of those things. There are two noteworthy dates coming up in short order as far as the show goes. 3 weeks from now, February, there's an R, there's two R's in February. February. Look at that. February 1st is going to be the first anniversary of ADRAMADA. And then exactly 4 weeks later, 28 days later, it will be Thursday, February 29th, leap year. So I will be doing something special on those dates for the show. Do stay tuned. This week we're doing XaaS. Upcoming shows, we got the Windows Firewall. I'm working with Jason Helms. Hello, Jason. I see you there. To work some details on that, and I got some other goodies. Let's move to this handy dandy slide. So I got my Pi 5s in a couple weeks ago now, and I haven't opened it up yet because I have been waiting for this. I'm not going to blow up my screen, but it's whatever's in the picture there. This is the Ice Tower for Raspberry Pi 5 because everybody in the world who plays with Raspberry Pis and does shows on them and stuff like that has done the same thing since Pi 5 came out. Pi 5 has really, really, really speedy specs compared to every other Pi that's come out. And so they're all firing them up and doing benchmarks on them and temperature measurement and all that. I love that stuff. And if they hadn't done it, I would have done it too. But it's already been done to death. So what I'm doing is let's see what all this stuff means in the real world. How much can I overclock it? Well, I know the answer to that. That's a hard limit. But what can we do to it that we couldn't do with an overclocked Raspberry Pi 4? And so I have apps that we've demonstrated here on the show that are just painfully slow to use and operate. They're cool apps and they work great on other platforms, but not 4. But now we're talking about something that overclocked can run almost 2.5 times the speed of a top end 4. And so that's the direction that I'm going with on this stuff. Tullowit will tell us that Amanda Green is a misheard lyric, or lyrics, or word or phrase in a lyrics. I ran across a song the other day that I have known since my childhood, and it came across whatever I was listening to with the singer and the name of the song, and I said, I never heard of that song before by this person. What the heck? And I listened to it and I said, wait a minute, I know this song. Everybody knows this song. And it's called Gray Seal from Elton John. And I asked a couple people, hey, what do you... Fill in the next word here. I'm going to sing. I'm sorry. But it's the only way to do this. Tell me what word comes next. And everybody that I asked is Francine. Nope. Tell me Gray Seal. So there's my Mondegreen of the month of my life. That thing came out in a little after 1970. I know you've never heard of it. All right, well, let's get interactive then. I am curious, and I will fill in this answer for myself for you too. What'd you do over the holidays? We've had a couple of weeks, friends and some not work and some work. So did you have some good food? Did you get have good visits to or from friends and family? Do some fun activities? Fill those in and I'll read them out as I do after I finish mine here. And then we'll get on to some cool stuff. I cooked a lot. I cooked a lot over the course of a couple of weeks. We cooked lamb chops, just traditional. We cooked, of course, a ham. I made ribeyes. Not a ribeye roast, not a standing rib roast, but ribeye steaks, big monster ribeye steaks for Christmas. I did something brand spanking new. I smoked a rib roast for New Year's. Wow. Still tasting it. Great bottle of Moët for New Year's. It was fun. I got so much food in the fridge. We took some of the rib roast, sliced it thin yesterday, and the leftover lamb chops, and sliced them up in nice slices, heated them up quickly, and put them on. We made fajitas. Wow, a lamb fajita. You can't top that. All right, I got something else to share with you, but let's see what you guys are doing and saying and being. All right, let's see here. Yeah, there's good stuff here. Not to brag, but Jason made it a day early. Watching my Discord, Jason comes on and says, "Man, I've been hanging out waiting for this for ADRAMADA to start, and then I realized it's not Thursday yet. It's only Wednesday. I'm going to bed." So, yep, kudos for being the true first. All right. Patricia Grace is here. You early or am I late? I don't think I'm early, but that's not impossible. So yeah, we are live. Patricia, doubt you can get earlier than me this time. I did not get an email from you. I haven't checked my email in a couple hours. I've been out and about. So let me see. See. I see a received email. There's always received emails. YouTube, eBay, AliExpress, eBay. Let's check spam. Spam. You're invited to join me on the dating website because you're my sort of guy. There's a reason that stuff winds up in spam buckets, huh? Delete. No, Patricia Grace, I do not see an email from you that came either from or to drushtx@yahoo.com or drushtx@ADRAMADA. So let's do a quick DM or a message after this on one of the Discord servers, and we'll figure that out. Where was I? Oh, okay, I'm over here reading messages. My message, having an in-depth discussion. Yeah, that was so fun. I kept hearing this wonk, wonk, wonk on Discord. What the heck is going on? And then I looked over and there's this in-depth conversation and other people got involved. I think Patricia Grace mentioned something in there. That was something truly disturbing. Got to agree. Thought I was in trouble. Had flashbacks from elementary school to the principal's office. Shia Moonstone, love ribeyes. Hey Shia, good to see you. Wow. You top it with sour cream. Of course we top it with sour cream. My ribeyes, I top with the juices that gently ooze from the top. It's beef, baby. All right. I did something else over the holiday break when we had the kids in and all that good stuff, and it was wonderful. But I caught up on some movie and show watching, and I wanted to offer very quickly some movie reviews. I say very quickly. There's about 15 in this list, so I will give them each. Here's my list of thumbs downs. Some with explanations, some just take my word for it. Last night and two nights ago, we watched Apocalypse. It's animated. In a world where gluten is banned, a mad chef attempts to restore gluten to the world with his army of gluten monsters. He's mad. It does not go well. The premise is funny. The concept is funny. The execution was abysmal. So we'll let that go. I caught a few stand-up comedy specials. One of them made massive thumbs down. Maria Bamford. I like Maria Bamford. I listen to her stuff on comedy channels regularly on Sirius and things like that. This special, I didn't make it past the first 20 minutes. It was dark. It was experimental. I don't object to that, but it just didn't work for me. So, and I didn't watch. All right, the title, The Loch Ness Horror. I mean, you see that title and you see the movie poster, and you know that it's basically Sharknado, three-headed shark, whatever. I love that stuff. I can watch that stuff. So I thought, all right, well, let's take a look at this thing. I have nothing good to say about it. The acting is bad. The plot is bad. The script is bad. The directing is bad. The cinematography is bad. The sets. There was one set because they filmed on an actual working ship that was kind of nice. But the stuff that they built, it was just all bad. Of course, the CGI is bad. That's a given. And I was thoroughly, again, 20 minutes. I only watched it long enough to see who was going to get it first. And that was it. And then here's one I tried 2 nights ago. I couldn't make it past the first 5 minutes. And I love bad movies. Wow. My friend, and you guys know her, Kathy Yale. She just texted me. She's up in Boston right now. She was due to fly back here to Houston tomorrow. We talked today. And they got that big nor'easter coming in or whatever that horrible snowstorm is. And looks like they're going to get a foot up there. You know that I was a former airline pilot, and I flew in the Northeast primarily. If there is a whisper of fog in LA, they shut down Boston Logan. So, good golly, there's a whisper of real weather coming in there. Logan will be shut down for 6 weeks at this rate. Anyway, couldn't make it past 5 minutes. Caddy Hack, right? Sort of spoof on Caddyshack. Just undescribably bad. So, more power to you if you can try it and if you can stick it out more than I did. Good movies, thumbs up. Family Plan, the Mark Wahlberg thing. I will avoid spoilers. It's good. It's fun. It's family. It's action. It's thriller. It's comic. It's good stuff. If you haven't seen the new Ricky Gervais stand-up special, Armageddon, Ricky Gervais is always thoughtful. He's always even-handed. He's not apolitical. He's political. He has a side. But his comedy, he gores everyone's ox evenly. It's just good stuff. He's intelligent. He's funny. Catch the Ricky Gervais special. A short movie. Really enjoyable if you understand the context. It's called Lot Number 249. It was written by Arthur Conan Doyle, the author of Sherlock Holmes. And so you got to put this in the time frame perspective to get it right. It's a horror. Somebody took the movie and did a very good following of the book. The cinematography was good. The directing was good. The acting was excellent. In its day, as a book, it would have been scary, kind of in the same way that The Telltale Heart from Edgar Allan Poe would have been scary, if not terrifying, in its day to its Victorian audience. So 249, same thing, Lot 249. Watch it. It's 30 minutes out of your life that you will be glad you never got back. And this one, this is not laugh out loud. This is... It's kind of dark comedy. It's not that dark. Short version, don't suck. We follow the budding career of a comedian and his mentor with an interesting twist. 2 thumbs up from Dave. Watch the Gary Gulman's. Did I watch Gary Gulman? Yeah, it was a Gary Gulman special. Stand up. It was good stuff. Rebel Moon. It's a 2.5 out of 4. 2.6. It's part 1 of 2. We're not going to see part 2 until April. I certainly made it all the way to the end. It's predictable. It's not badly shot. The twists, or you can kind of predict them. But it was a fun, nice movie. Basically, it has nothing to do with Star Wars, but it is a galaxy far, far away, and the evil empire is oppressing the outliers, and we develop a rebellion. It's kind of fun movie. Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. CG, good for kids. There are CG films out there from Pixar and whatever that are great for kids and great for adults. Minions, come on. That's a guilty pleasure for me, and so much stuff out of them. Chicken Run is a good movie. The new Dawn of the Nugget made it to the end, was fine with it. Its appeal is 100% for kids. You just can't. It's just not a target. There's no adult jokes hidden in there. Maybe 1 or 2 minor. Here's a really good movie out of Korea. It's subtitled The Moon. Good film. Great cinematography. Great, good acting. Probably if I spoke Korean, it would be better. The premise is good. The tech details, unfortunately, look, we've seen some really good space movies with really accurate tech details. This one doesn't quite fit that one. Without any spoilers, there are way too many Act 3 moments, right? All movies, for all intents and purposes, follow this same premise. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, all hope is lost. And at the very end of Act 3, well, all right, we'll try this. And everything comes out great, right? Well, there's like so many Act 3 moments in there. You know, just keep waiting for Act 4 to happen. Okay, Act 4 is happening, but holy crap, there's still 35 minutes in this movie. They're not going to do Act 4 in a half an hour. There's going to be another one, or 2, or 3, it turns out. And then last night, I watched a new French version, part 1, of The Three Musketeers. So look it up. It's subtitled. It's mostly in French. There's some English in there. Wow. Nothing but good things to say. Short version. Our friend, Scarhart, loves every... If he doesn't love, he knows and watches and reads every Three Musketeers thing that's out there. And we have discussed Musketeers at great length in all the different movies and so forth. And so I kicked him off a text last night. And he must have sent a response right away, but it didn't come in until today. I said, dude, you got to see this. I'll send you a link to it when I get in front of a desk. And then late last night, I got in front of a desk. I sent him the link. And he emailed me back and said, dude, I have been looking for this for weeks. So catch the new Three Musketeers. It was released on March 23rd of last year, 2023. It's an English, as in England, production, but it's almost all done in French. Good stuff. All right, that's Dave's movies over the Christmas, New Year's break. Then we got tech news coming up next. Let's see what you guys are talking about whilst I did all that. Nothing. Am I offline? Hello, am I there? Nobody said anything during all that. Okay, I'll keep going. Where are we at here on time? Okay, got 5 minutes to do tech news, which is good enough. Back to slides. How do you do them slide things? You got to do this. This is this one. That goes up there. This one goes there. And we transition over. And now we are doing slides. So this is the super secret. Nobody knows about it except me. And I'm sharing it with you. I'm going to get in trouble. The follow-on to the SR-71 Blackbird. They call it SR-72, son of Blackbird. Allegedly scheduled to take its first flight in next year, 2025. Expected to exceed 4,000 miles per hour. And for our European friends watching live and on archive later, that's 71 billion kilometers per hour. Because, you know, they're very small. All right, I'm not going to read all that junk. What else is in La News? This. So there is a Linux distro out there called MX Linux. Excuse me. And it's an x86 distro. They just released a Pi spin on it. It's a cool distro. The current version now, the new release version, is MX 23.1. They call it Libretto. It's got a fairly current Linux kernel, 6.1. That's pretty good. Long-term support version. And it's rebased. It's a Debian bookworm branch. Works on all the Pis, and that's the really nice news. From Pi on backward. Seems to run fine on all versions. What's special about it? What's cool? The MX tools, the MX Linux tools, are an amazing collection of practical, real-world, usable tools. I will do a show on it. I'll install it, and we'll experiment with it, and we'll tour it and have a good time with that. So just want to know, it's out there now. New stuff. Oh, that's the MX Tools dashboard. Okay, moving kind of out of tech news and into personal news. Need input. I need input. Today I am number 5. I have become unhappy with my cell phone carrier. It's T-Mobile. I have been with them for over a decade. And I have always been happy with them. I don't mind paying. Their customer support has been really good. When I need it, it's very rare. But I had some really bad experiences with customer support and their in-store in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. For instance, now when you walk into a store, you will not work with anybody. They will not work with you until you hand them your ID and they scan it. Sorry, that's too intrusive for me. They already know enough about me. They're not getting my driver's license or anything else like that. I'll show you my license. You can look at it all day long, but you don't get to scan it. So the thing that I wanted to do in there with them, I said, well, that's not going to work. So I called customer service. And all I wanted them to do is just add my missus on the text list for electronic billing. I get a text for it, then I forward it to her, and she handles the bills. Oh, no, we can't do that. We don't know you are who you are. Dude, you're looking at my account. You'll see the same phone is on the same account. Divorce and threats and ugliness and nastiness. You can do it, he said. You can do it if you install our app and she installs our app. Sorry, man, you install an app. You know how much info you got to give about yourself again? Pass. So I am done with T-Mobile. Now, do you know what an MVNO is? That's a mobile virtual network operator. You could be an NVMO in the morning. All you got to do is say, I want to use AT&T's towers or T-Mobile's towers or Verizon's or whoever makes you happy. And then you become a phone service reseller. You are now an MVNO. All you got to do is billing and whatever level of customer support and things like that. So there's a whole bunch of MVNOs out there. There's a handful that work on T-Mobile. There's a handful that work on AT&T and so forth. So I am exploring them, and I'm going to stick with the T-Mobile. I like their tech. I like their coverage and things like that. So I just got to pick the right MVNO. And right now, the best alternative seems to be Mint Mobile. I don't like the fact that it's got celebrity advertising. I like Ryan Reynolds the same as anybody, but or Ryan Gosling, whoever. Yeah, it's Reynolds. So if you have any thoughts on alternative carriers besides the big three, the MVNOs on those, pipe up. Either put something here in the chat. I'll check it in just a second, or contact me. Next slide. Tonight, midnight UTC is the absolute peak. So Andre DeGoyer's not watching, but you would be so perfect at your own midnight. But there's still plenty of activity. The quadrantids. I just winked, so somebody let me know if I disappear. Right after midnight, 110, 120 an hour. It's going to be a good show. The cloud cover is just utterly blasted over Houston, so I'm going to miss it. But if you would like to see it, look up in the sky up to the northeast. Right below the Big Dipper is where they will radiate from. They'll go all over the skies, all over the place, but that's the direction that they come from, and you can get an idea of where they're going to flow to thereafter. And that is the Tech News slideshow of the day. All right, let's see what's going on here with y'all. Shia. Shaka. Shame on you. Move to an MVNO, okay? I was talking to Michael Smyer the other day. He used to be with Ting, but Ting apparently has some problems with Google phone numbers, and he bailed out of those. Because otherwise, for the years that I've known him, he's been with Ting for many of those years and was very satisfied. And same for another guy that I used to work with in that company. But they both have bailed on Ting. I love that name. Can type on the iPad tonight. You have Mint. Michael has US Mobile. Okay. I've never heard of US Mobile. I'll look into that one. The bug carrier, those bug carriers evil. I recommend either. Okay, thank you. I will look into US Mobile tonight. We're using Spectrum, not bad. Okay. Mom has Total by Verizon. Yeah, I don't want to change phones and change SIMs. My phones are all T-Mob phones, so until I'm ready to replace them. I'm going to stick with a T-Mob carrier. Moving her to US Mobile. Already have her on their home phone service. Okay, very good. Thanks, guys. All right, well, let's talk project then. Let me set this up. Whoops. Sorry, reading messages. There we go. And now we've got to prep this thing. That's over there. Slide project. You go up there. And that camera goes there. And here we go. Man, I need a director and a producer. I'd better be my director and producer. You're going to have to come here. I don't see a way that we could do this remotely. Okay. So we're going to talk today briefly about the mysteries of XaaS. Anything as a service. Now, we all know the big three, I hope. Software as a service, platform as a service, and IaaS. But just as a quick refresher, if you're not familiar, software as a service. It's a cloud-based application. Discord is a cloud-based application. That's software as a service. Anything that handles the management of a subscription, of a software subscription, that's part of software as a service. Platform as a service, one or more hosts, cloud-based, designed for the development of cloud-based applications. So there may be multiple, as you may have your database server on this cloud object and your user interface on this cloud object and all that good stuff. And then infrastructure as a service, that's when you or the people in your office or whatever have a thin client. Maybe it's a Raspberry Pi, maybe it's something else. It's just a really simple video and simple keyboard and mouse, and it contacts an infrastructure that's running a desktop, and it's running switches, and it's running networks, and it's running routers, and it's running firewalls. So we don't have to have all that infrastructure here at our office. We can make the VLANs over there. We can separate the salespeople from the marketing people. IaaS. Basically, we're going to take all of our networking infrastructure and outsource it to a virtualized cloud. And then everything else is XaaS. Anything as a service. So there's lots of physical and local processes that can be hosted in cloud environments. And if it's not software, platform, or infrastructure, most cloud-based services fall under the umbrella of XaaS. Now, for all those AASs, for XaaS, it used to be there was just kind of a big clump of them. And yeah, this thing, it's an XaaS. That thing, that's an XaaS. But we've been doing this for years now, and we've been able to categorize them now that there are dozens of subcategories within XaaS, and each of them gets their own letter, AAAS, BAAS, and so forth. And so that's what I want to talk about today. The AAASs through WAASs, there's only 4 services, 4 letters that don't have a service. Like OAAS doesn't exist. I think UAAS is one of them. I know Z is. Maybe X. I think that's all of them. But of course, there's plenty of same things. We're going to find that BAAS has a couple different meanings, and RAAS has a couple different meanings. So let's do a little slideshow on here. I got a lot of slides. I'm going to power through these quickly. These are just to introduce you to some concepts. And I'm not going to do a full explanation of it. AAS, analytics as a service. I have like hours worth of notes after each of these, and I think I'm basically going to stick with these and add some commentary as I need. So data needs to be analyzed, networks need to be analyzed, and when the type of analysis occurs that your organization needs it, most organizations don't have that expertise in-house to do the data analysis that they need. And so they hire third-party analysts. Well, that process is becoming more and more automated and being hosted out on the cloud. So we can analyze business metrics, we can analyze IT metrics, all kinds of things, and it's all cloud-based and fairly easy to use. I skipped over B. We'll get back to it because the tutorial that I used did a top 10. I did those and then I filled in the rest of them alphabetically. So DaaS, desktop as a service. So a desktop says there is a cloud system out there running a virtualized operating system. It's Windows, it's Linux, it's Mac OS, whatever. And we're going to access that with a thin client. So it's going to be the desktop. It's got all the software that I need. It's got the user interface. It's got everything. And what's really cool is we don't have to do that singly. We can do this in servers with thousands or tens of thousands of desktop virtual machine instances. And there's load balancers to make sure everybody gets some. And they come in a couple different flavors. There's persistent ones and non-persistent ones. This is my desktop as a service. Everything that I do and I save is going to be accessible to me next time I log in and connect to it. That's a persistent one. Or like we did Sandbox 3 weeks ago, every time you connect to one, it's a pristine OS and pristine apps that you use every day, but none of your saved data. That might live someplace else. FaaS, function as a service. So FaaS is subroutines. When you really get down to it, I want to build a cloud-based application. Man, that's a big job. I've got to make the user interface, and I've got to make all the back-end functions, and I've got to do the sorts, and I've got to do this, and I got to make that. I got a lot of programming to do. FaaS says, hey, we've already built some of those modules for you. They're already cloud-based. You just connect to them with APIs and add your own customization if there's a special UI you want to make, whatever. So functions as a service. These are cloud host functions that you can use to run or build a cloud hosted service. SaaS. We couldn't call it SaaS because that's already software as a service. So they made it STaaS, storage as a service. You know this one. This is cloud storage. Okay, we're Dropbox and Box and OneDrive and Google Drives and all that stuff. Those are all STaaSes. You know those ones. CaaS, CaaS. Containers as a service. There's a couple different cool pieces here. One of them is the management aspect of it. We can cloud base the functions, the applications that create and manage containers. That's the core of CaaS. However, we could also host containers out in the cloud. That too is containers as a service. So much going on in that stuff. Portainer. I haven't done a show on that. It's been in my list for a couple of years, so we will do that. Portainer houses your code in containers. Why did I put that in twice? It does container management. It's pretty cool stuff. Now we did DaaS, D-A-A-S. And we've got another DaaS coming up, I think. But we also have DBaaS, database as a service. So not only can you host a database out there in the cloud, but you can have a database engine out there, a database service running. And that service can be managing multiple databases, cloud-hosted databases. It can integrate. It can work with all of them collectively. That's kind of one of the core components of what AI does, is take advantage of all this database as a service. But I got some more cool stuff coming up on that. Oracle, big popular. It is the popular database service. Here's another AAAS, authentication as a service. So if you're in a Windows system right now, maybe you're just got a standalone Windows system right now, you log in and you authenticate to it. And we get into that in some of our other worlds about how the exchanges go by and how the hashes go by and the salting and all that stuff. But we can do authentication as a service as a cloud-based model. and nothing in clear text ever gets sent. So you connect to the authentication service with a basic connection, and then the first thing you do is negotiate some encryption level, and then it will be responsible for handling all authentication to all of the resources that you have registered with it on which you are an authorized user. So a couple AASs out there. That's kind of cool. Here's a BAAS. We didn't talk about it yet. We skipped over the B's. It's our first BAS, backup as a service. Cloud backup. You know it, offsite data storage, folders, entire contents of a hard drive, just particular files, entire servers. There's pros and cons to all of these services. I understand the value of BAS. The one thing that always bothers me is how long it takes to get that initial load up. And if you ever have a catastrophe, the way cloud-based backups is you start with a new, fresh, clean install of your operating system, and then you restore whatever you've backed up. And that can be a very time-consuming thing, depending on how much data you got out there. BAS. RAS. There are a couple RASs in here. One of them, it goes by two different names: Recovery as a Service and Disastery, DRAS, Disaster Recovery as a Service. It's kind of like backup, but its intent is full recovery, including the operating system, and potentially even operating from the online backup until you rebuild any local resources that you need to. So RAS and DRAS, pretty useful practical things for some business. What triggered my research in all of this and my interest in all of this was a hack that got reported the other day. And as I was reading about this hack, it said, who was it? What's the name of the bad guys here? Yeah, looking at my notes. Oh, Lockbit. The Lockbit gang. They run a ransomware as a service cloud service. So they don't conduct ransomware. They don't take ransom, but they provide the services for clients to use those services and do ransomware attacks. And this is fascinating. If you dive into this thing, go look up ransomware as a service, especially if you're thinking about cybersec down the road here. It's a variation of software as a service as far as the business model goes. Affiliates that don't have the skill or time to develop their own ransomware or variants, then they can be up and running quickly and affordably. I love the text I read about this thing. You can pay for support. I'm using your I'm a subscriber to your ransomware as a service cloud service, and I'm trying to hack big whatever, and I'm having trouble getting my virus to spread. Help me here. Can you help me out with your services on that? Yeah, we can. You're paying an extra $50,000 a month for that stuff. Isn't that amazing? Does that just blow you away? There's a lot of info on that. Here's another BAS. So we did backup as a service. Why did I do XaaS again? That gets slid out in the... Oh, there we go. Backup as a service. Slide 25. Container. Oh, I made containers as a service twice. That happens. XaaS. So we did a DAS, desktop as a service. So we're going kind of alphabetically now. So now we're into E as a service. And there's going to be two E as a services. One is environment as a service. This says when you do certain tasks, you need certain resources. I need this database. I need this compiler. I need this repository. I need. And as a user, you get those from various different places. Cool. As a developer or a project participant, you tend to gather those things as close to you as possible, right? So maybe I need this database on this cloud service and this knowledge base on this cloud service. There's a difference. I'll get into them. I don't want to go over there and over there and over here, but I'll maybe make shortcuts to all that stuff on my desktop or whatever. So at least it's easy to access those things, and maybe I'll link them together if that's possible. Well, XaaS is a cloud service that does all that. It links everything together in a single environment. So when you're doing this project, I connect to this environment, and here's all the resources that I need to make my development easy. And the other XaaS, encryption as a service. So you can use these services to encrypt anything from all the data flowing on your local network. That's a little cumbersome, but it's doable. Encrypt your files here, out there, encrypt your hard drive. It's all cloud-based, and it all makes kind of sense. And again, you're going to connect to it, and the very first thing that's going to happen is an encrypted connection is going to happen before you ever start moving anything to or from it. Of course, it decrypts as well. Here's another FaaS. So we did function as a service. And now what we've got here, oh, this is just a greater, okay, this is similar to modules like functions, but what this is it's a cloud computing service that has a built-in set of triggers. When this happens, this service provides something like, well, let me give you an example here. Let's say Amazon Web Services. They have this technology called elasticity, elastic, whatever it is. And that means when a load gets to a certain level, we need more servers online. Or when this geographic area gets saturated with traffic, we can spin up instances in other geographic areas and get data routed over there and get content routed to and from there. Well, that's what this kind of FaaS is. It is the trigger, watcher, and event initiator. So it's the thing that's watching this solo server get busier and busier and busier. And when its load gets to a certain event value, 80%, whatever, there's our load, 80% load, or there's our trigger, 80% load. That's his trigger to say, okay, spin up another instance. So we can take advantage of predefined events and actions out there with FaaS services, with these kinds of FaaS services. After F comes G, GPU as a service. Now you could use these, this is a virtualized or maybe even a real hardware GPU out there on the web that you can program or use. You could game with it, but that's not their real intent. It's for people who use GPUs to do mathematical calculations. Okay, there's a lot of science that's conducted on GPUs. Crypto mining, that's done on GPUs because they are very mathematically intense. So these things can exist as cloud-hosted services. There is another XaaS that's kind of related. Oops, we go straight to hardware. Nah, I missed a slide. Sorry, I was doing a lot of work today and I got pulled out. I had to take someone to a hospital for a procedure. Gaming as a service, or games as a service. So this thing hosts games. It handles the subscription services, the updates, the upgrades, things like that. Steam, the big one out there that everybody knows. Yeah, can't imagine where that slide went. Hardware as a service. Hardware as a service is an interesting one. How am I doing on time here? Okay. We're not going to get through all of them, but that's all right. Hardware as a service is an old concept that says you can't afford this piece of hardware, so lease it. Well, when we move, and what happens is it's a financial trick. It's a financial tool. By not buying hardware, you haven't made capital expenditures, which are handled for tax purposes very differently than when you lease something. We don't buy a car, we lease a car for business purposes. And so we used to do the same thing with hardware, and they still do. Well, what if there was expensive hardware out there that could be virtualized, and you could take advantage of that by renting time on it, by subscribing to it, whatever. That's hardware as a service. So it's virtualized hardware primarily. There's also some physical hardware out there that you can use. Excuse me. And you don't have to own, and it helps the accounting departments and the bottom line in some areas. All right. Let me just zip through the rest of these real quick, just so you're exposed to them. Java as a service and Java authentication as a service. Used for two purposes: authentication of users handled remotely, and authorization of users to give them appropriate access control. Knowledge as a service. That sounds like a database, right? The difference between a database service and a knowledge service is context. The service says, I understand the nature of the query. I understand the kind of information that you're seeking and the context of the information, and I will provide that. This is the primary back-end information sources that are provided by AIs. Knowledge as a service is a big part of what they do. LaaS, logging as a service. So I cloud-base the logging of whatever I want to log. Simple enough. App logs, error logs, network logs, access logs, security logs. Metal as a service. This is primarily from one vendor, Canonical, but it expands the concept of a virtualized server to a virtualized data center. Simple enough. And then the other MaaS, monitoring as a service. So we're not logging here. This thing is a cloud-based service that's reaching into your network and watching it for you and doing all the things that monitoring provides, like intrusion prevention, intrusion detection, logging, all of that kind of stuff is done with MaaS. Networking as a service, complete ability to off-source all of your network resources. It's basically a specific element of infrastructure as a service. Quantum as a service. I love this one because this can only be done by people who have quantum computers, and they make their quantum computers available to people through a cloud service. So IBM's got quantum computers, Google's got quantum computers, Amazon's got quantum computers, and they do make those available to researchers and other folks who are willing to cough up some bucks. Man, my spelling was atrocious this week. Another RAS. We did a couple of them. And how about robot as a service? So we did recovery as a service. We did ransomware as a service. Robot as a service is responsible for managing and integrating robots into embedded devices. What? Well, there's two kinds of robots in the world here. One is little move around things that carry things and pick up things and place things and paint cars and do all stuff like that. And robot as a service can handle the management of those things. Robot as a service is involved in robot selection. Okay, shopping. I want to buy a robot. Okay, we're going to use robot as a service to help us pick that. And then he's going to integrate and manage that. But the number one instance of where you and I are going to run into robot as a service is IoT. So when you've got a program that needs to run in an IoT device in your home, a thermostat that's got to run some very complicated program, maybe not in your home. How about let's make it a thermostat in a plant that's 50,000 square feet, cubic meters, whatever. And it's got to watch all these different areas and manage all that stuff. Well, there's not enough memory in a local device to handle all that. So we're going to place all those programs and applications in a robot as a service cloud service and let it take readings from our IoT devices at the plant and then issue appropriate instructions. Raise the heat here, lower the heat here, hit the fire extinguishers there. TaaS, testing as a service, traditionally outsourced human things. 3 kinds of VaaS, video as a service, which you understand, that's this, right? That's YouTube streaming. I'm taking advantage of the video services provided by the nice folks at YouTube until I don't. Visibility as a service, voice as a service. We know that one. That's going to be VoIP. Visibility. Some of you saw a study hall that I did a few months back, a Security Plus study hall where we talked about visibility. Visibility says there are parts of your network that aren't necessarily visible to your monitoring systems. And so we've got to get something running so that we can monitor all that stuff. Well, this takes that something that's running and moves it to a cloud-based service. WaaS, 2 versions of WaaS, Workspace and Wallet. A workspace is kind of like that environment as a service thing. It's a little more special case. And wallet as a service, if you're using any of the cryptocurrencies and the cloud services that they use, they manage transactions, they store electronic currency, they distribute it, they make payments. That's wallet as a service. Last slide. Coming up in a few minutes. So we finished. All of this was just to expose you to this huge and burgeoning, ever-growing segment of cloud-based services that goes so far above. Now, we've made jokes about this on other AMAs, laughter as a service and wine as a service. All those jokes aren't far from the truth. Sorry, checking my notes here, getting where I need to be. There we go. All right, well, let's see who finished up with what, and then we'll get ready to wind things up here. Oh, lots of stuff happened while I was going there. All right, Shia says, we should stop using the word clients when they purchase ransomware software. They're criminals. You're absolutely right. You're right. And you would have called one of them IaaS. Okay, Lars Ulrich is suing over mass. I have something and I'm not going to do it. Hey, Scott's here. XaaS reminds me of old mainframe that people would rent time. Yeah, that's right. So many of these things are subscription and time based. You're exactly right. Steve. Well, count your blessings. Mine calls me Sally, so at least you're recognized as a Scarheart. So we talked a little bit about the 3 Musketeers at the beginning, Scott. Yeah, so glad you made it here, Scott. Oh, Scott as a service. Here it comes. All right, well, that pretty well winds us up, and we're about 3 minutes over. I can live with that. I hope you can live with that. We will do this again next week. I don't want to hit that button quite yet. Let's do this last slide. You can see it here. So this week we did XaaS. We got Windows Firewall coming up next week. Sometime in the near future, we got SE Linux coming up. We got adding a desktop GUI to a Linux server. On February 1st, we've got the first anniversary of ADRAMADA. And on February 29th, we got Leap Year. And we will do something special on both of them shows. What are you doing here, partner? There we go. Hey, guys. Thanks for coming back. It's going to be a great new year in so many arenas. Man, we've got just tons and tons of stuff going on, not just with ADRAMADA, but in all kinds of other circles. I will involve you in as many of those as you're interested in and as humanly possible. You folks have some great ideas and resources, and I want to take advantage of those, and I want to make some really nice offers to you. So, all right, how do we get out of this thing? We do it by wishing you a great rest of the week. I wish you a great 2024. Take care of everybody. Take serious steps to stay healthy, and if at all possible, call or visit your parents. I don't know if you noticed it. I changed up the banner a little bit for 2024. The black shirt portrait is gone. New portrait on there. Shifted some things around, so that'll be the thing for 2024. And if I remember, I will make a change like that every year. Never forget, technology is great, but the greatest resource we have are you and I. And with that, I bid you good night. I will see you on ADRAMADA next Thursday and the other platforms that I'm on. And until then, remember, how you do anything is how you do everything. Eep, op, ork, ah, ah.